بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Welcome everybody to another edition of the Karima Foundation podcast, and today I think we're very, very lucky to have with us Shaykh al-Allama al-Doktor Maulana Thaman Hussain.
Ah, that's good. Because you were looking at me, I thought you were going to mention me, and I agree. Okay.
You can't because it's a lie.
Well, maybe it was Kibir thinking that he was introducing me.
That's the first rad of tonight, okay? And it's not even nighttime. Okay. I'm joined by Shaykh Sulayman Vanel, somebody who I hold very dear to my heart, a teacher, a mentor, a guide, a friend, I hope I can say, inshallah. And somebody I've benefited from immensely, and we're very lucky to have him with us today, alhamdulillah. For those who don't know, the Shaykh is somebody who spent nearly all his life in trying to access the noble tradition of the prophetic inheritance of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that just literally exudes from whenever he speaks, and we're very lucky that he'll be with us today to share some words of wisdom. We were going to do a biographical podcast, and then by the time we actually sat down, it just became a whole different thing altogether. And my co-host today joining us is Maulana Thaman Hussain, who's another very dear friend of mine and a teacher with me at the Karima Foundation, alhamdulillah. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to both of you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi
Assalamu rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Great to be here, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Do you think there's benefit in memorizing?
Oh,
Always.
مسهلا لحفظه وفهمه. I believe a scholar without hifd is a body without a soul. If I sit in front of somebody who needs a book to explain me something, unless it is to read the text and then explain everything, for me that's not a scholar. أنت عالم بما تحفظه, right? So what is the difference between you and a book if you need a book? I'm sorry, I'm very hardcore in this, sorry.
Of course, it's a tradition you come from. Maybe that's not the way that our Indo-Pak tradition, the Nizami works. I feel like they don't focus on the memorization as much as the understanding. The faham is far more important.
Okay, but but what they explain, they memorize it, or do they need a book to explain it?
But sometimes depends on the teacher and the Shaykh.
Okay, yeah. So that's my take.
You're saying that anybody who hasn't memorized is not an alim.
I say that if people need a book for everything they say, then for me there's no difference between them and a book.
But nobody needs a book for everything they say.
Yeah.
What about if you have for example, you're teaching a text, but you've got your notes? Is that a problem then?
A note for what? For a hadith you're going to mention?
To remind you of a point, or the way you structure the lesson.
That's okay.
What about PowerPoints? Hadi bid'ah?
I actually wrote about PowerPoints. Yeah, I wrote about PowerPoints and
well, the fiqh hukum
yeah.
PowerPoint.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
and it's wasila.
Yeah, wasila. Yeah.
I could have told you that shit.
I was joking, Sidi. So,
okay, I actually wrote.
To cut a long story short, Sidi, for me, yani,
No, I'm saying, Shaykh, do you think it's an Arab tradition?
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
Syrian tradition does, right?
I ask you a question.
Yeah, memorization.
Where are the ulul azm in the Quran mentioned, in which two surah?
Surah Al-Anbiya. Every single one mentioned in one surah.
All the 5 together in one surah. خمسة منهم أولو العزم الأولى في سورة الأحزاب والشورى تلا.
أحزاب شورى, Shaykh.
No, I'm trying to show something. If you don't have hifd, where are you? You're always going to think, right?
But is that just saving time, or is it?
Can I be a devil's advocate here?
Yes, you can. No, please don't.
Okay, angelic advocate.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
I know that.
Yes.
And what?
What is knowledge? I mean, what is that? Is that knowledge then?
No, but it's like a trivia point.
This was just an example, Sayyidi.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm saying, Shaykh,
harder question.
Okay, علامات الكلام.
جر. كلام.
يعني الاسم.
Yeah. I can understand that. I do understand that.
جر ألف لام I can't. No, I have to think.
And that's where hifz comes in, right? So if you
Yeah.
teach it and you don't know it, I'm not saying you don't know it, Sidi. You're a scholar yourself. But if you don't know كلامنا لفظ مفيد كاستقيم واسم وفعل ثم حرف الكلم واحده كلمة والقول عم وكلمة بها كلام قد يؤم بالجر والتنوين والندى وال ومسند للاسم تمييز حصل.
I had 3 of them.
Yeah, you had no, but do you understand what I'm trying to say? If you don't have your knowledge in your mind, how are you going to teach it? If now you sit in front of somebody, you teach language, and you have to start thinking all the time. How does that work?
But for me,
how
for
are you
example,
sure you're not going to forget something?
if I'm teaching Arabic,
Yeah.
right, it's all tatbiq. So you catch the alamat as you go along. It's to teach them to understand. So they might not be able to list them, but the moment they see one, they'll know that's an ism, that's how I'm going to translate it, that's how I'm going to work with it. Do they necessarily need to have the whole thing, all the adawat of this and that memorized? I don't personally think so. But
If I ask you about the tradition of the scholars, did they memorize manzumat and did they write them, yes or no?
the whole point of manzumat is to memorize.
Yeah. Why did they do this? Because they disagreed with you, right? The majority of scholars disagree with you. They don't agree with you. It's yeah.
It's a question.
No. It's true. The majority of scholars don't agree, unless you.
But that's a
talk
pre-modern pedagogical tradition as well.
And what is wrong with the pre-modern one?
Nothing's wrong with it. I think it's brilliant, and there is an element. I think memorization
But
is
this
so
is what I
important
would
as
say.
doing.
It's a tradition. I feel like
And memorizing a hadith, for example, is that important or not?
Yes, it is.
that
And
is
why?
important.
Because of the barakah.
Or just of the barakah?
Well, it depends what you're doing.
What is the barakah if you
No,
memorize
but-
and you don't put it into practice?
No, but it's also but that's part of the to bring the barakah in. But also it's what your role is. If you're like a mujtahid or your job is to derive fiqh for the masses, then you need to have a very good grasp of the sunnah tradition, and that is part of that is knowing the hadith and memorizing them and being able to narrate them and things. Whereas I don't think everybody needs to be able to do that, and that person can be an alim and a good alim, even if they don't have. Maybe this is just me being insecure about myself because I don't have manzumat memorized and things like that.
Okay, but what about ta'rifat?
You should know ta'rifat.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
Okay. So and
Is that, have
that's
you
only
reached
going to
middle
be-
ground?
Huh?
Have you reached middle ground now? Are we friends again?
We've always been friends. But I need to revisit whether it was beneficial for me to have memorized all these.
No!
manzumat. Yes, because now either it's beneficial or it's not. If it's beneficial, it's something you do. If it's not
It is.
wait,
It definitely is beneficial.
There is no
I mean,
gray
there's
zone. Either it's beneficial, so you're encouraged to do it, and you see the point of doing it. Or either it's not beneficial, you don't do it, and you don't see the point of
But
doing it.
some people should do it and some people don't need to do it.
Yeah.
And it's all about what you do with your
Memorizing
life.
the Quran, shart for being a scholar or not?
100%.
Why?
Oh, sorry.
Because even in the even in the Hanafi fiqh,
anyway,
do they put it as a condition in Hanafi fiqh?
But it depends on
They
the
don't.
level of scholar you're trying to
They
be.
don't.
They don't.
It's the level of scholar you're trying to be.
Yeah.
Because if you're it depends what you're doing.
And even if you are that big mujtahid, then you need ayat
Mufti Taqi
al-ahkam, right?
Mufti Taqi Uthmani is not Hafidh al-Quran either. I take that back.
My teachers
You
say
can't
that
base yourself on that for an opinion, do you?
It's probably not good, but I'm going to go with that.
not as in you.
Nobody's
you've given an
disputing the fact that
example.
he's a scholar, right?
Yeah,
That he's
yeah.
the biggest Hanafi scholar in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, my Shaykh Birzada is not hasn't memorized the Quran either, and he doesn't. So one of the things that those that may say that it's not a condition may say on the basis that if you know where the ayat of the ahkam are, if you know where the stories are and so on, that would be enough. Only because if you've memorized the Quran now, you are now spending a lot of the time retaining that Quran. And not that's something bad in itself. Obviously,
No,
there's you're getting reward for every single letter that you're reciting. But you would then you're not developing on the fiqh or the aqidah.
So
or
you're
the
saying for
kalam.
like a
And I'm not
faqih,
saying-
ayatul ahkam suffice.
That's true though, isn't it?
But the majority of scholars who ever said that were all Hafidh al-Quran.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Shaykh.
The
Yeah, of course.
ideal is like if I went up to any sheikh who wasn't a Hafidh al-Quran, and said,
I dare to say that somebody who doesn't memorize the Quran, in general, not the specific example you gave, because I'm nowhere in comparison to Shaykh Taqi al-Uthman. So I'm not talking about him in person. But somebody who doesn't memorize Quran is not a scholar for me. So you're going to investigate the text, the explanation of the text, and spend all your time in explaining the text that you don't memorize. I don't understand this. So I'm more with the Moroccan approach. That Hifd al-Quran if you can't memorize the Quran, it's the asl of all sciences. It's the asl for Arabic, for usul, for qawaid, for everything. How and I say this, and you are defending it that you shouldn't, but you're hafid kitabillah, right? So
Not a good
no,
hafid,
I want people to know, not a good hafid. You read Quran with me, Sayyidi. I never saw somebody reading that quick as yourself.
That's just
Only my son and you. I saw nobody quicker. I when you read, I had to pay attention. Usually I don't have to. I'm just like this and I hear it. With you, you went so quick. I said, okay, going back to the old days. So
beat him up.
The reason why I'm saying this is because they see him defending that you don't have to memorize the Quran, but Maulana does memorize the Quran. So I think that's important to know that he's not just defending it because he doesn't. If you understand what I mean.
As a principle and as a
Yes,
point,
Habibi.
you say that as a principle, you would say that it is a condition.
Yes.
For a
Okay,
scholar.
can we debate number 2? Yeah, because I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. No, Shaykh.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. No.
Tajweed.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be. I don't know. I think are we on the same side on this one?
Where I'm towards the middle.
Yeah.
You're really towards on the leftist side.
Marxist.
So you're saying about
Yeah.
extreme right?
It's good to be
A far right.
It's good to be extreme
Far
right.
right extremist.
No, not far right extremist, but who said it's bad to be on the other end of the spectrum?
Yes, true.
Yeah. Okay.
We've drawn these ideologies upside.
That's true.
This is
But I'm in the middle.
this is from my tafarrudat. It's that I believe,
Yes.
and I've been vocal about this, and I've said this publicly and stuff before, that I feel there's an undue focus on tajweed and making people learn tajweed to the level of sifat. That, like, for me, I take the Hanafi opinion that as long as you're not making lahan jali and the prayer is valid, then that's fine, and that suffices most Muslims. And instead of devoting their time to perfecting tajweed, because I feel like they do it in the absence of the other sciences. They do it at the cost of the other sciences. So
Which other sciences do you mean?
meaning
then?
like even for awam, there are certain ulum they need to study. Like their fiqh's not strong enough. They don't know their aqidah, especially in the day and age we live in, where everybody needs to have some sort of rational defense for their beliefs. They're not doing all that, and then they're sat there and they're telling you, oh, rakhawa, shidda, tawassut, oh, I can do. They probably know. Some people know tajweed better than I do, but then I just feel, no, but that's not. Like if there's a tajdeed and there's like a revitalization of this ummah that has to happen, it's not tajweed. There's other ulum that need to be focused on. Tasawwuf, I think tasawwuf is the key ulum of the ilm of the age that we live in, especially with all the psychological problems Muslims have. And fiqh, I think, is massively important, aqidah, and all of these sorts of things. And I feel like there's an undue focus to Quran recitation to the extent that there shouldn't be. And that's just my take. And I feel like we had a disagreement on this off the mic.
Okay.
When we've decided to bring you on camera now instead.
MashaAllah, I decided to agree with you.
Because I phrased it with all of these conditions.
Just I agree with you.
Because you're being nice.
No. If I would disagree, I would tell you.
What about the qira'at beyond the
Does everybody need to
one
know
qira'ah?
qira'at?
Why qira'at? Why qira'at? Why tajweed?
No.
He's like, he doesn't believe you should memorize the Quran. He says everybody should read without tajweed.
Look, Sayyidi, it's a wasila. It's a wasila to tajweed, right? وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. So you disagree.
It's a wasila for fahm.
It's a wasila to hifd al-kalam, because it's not only the mabna and the ma'na that should be protected against tahrif, but also the way that you pronounce it. And as we are not Arabs, the way to make sure that somebody pronounces the Quran correctly and doesn't go like kul huwa, I don't know how people do it. So
very Turkish.
no, that's why I stopped, because that's not what I meant. No. So
the Turks have an incredible tradition right now.
Yes, they do.
And tajweed and things like
so, but I think it is to preserve a correct recitation of the Quran. So I don't think that there is a problem about it. You can learn how to pronounce it in 2 weeks. But the majority of people are not non-Arabs, and they do not know how to pronounce the letter. And in order to know how to pronounce it and where to pronounce it, you're in need of 2 things: makharij wa sifat, exit points and characteristics of letters. You can learn it like in a week. Why would you not learn something in a week that allows you to recite the Quran ta'zeeman li kitabillah, out of respect for the book of Allah and the way that it was revealed, and just practice it? Why would you not do it? That's the question, not why would you do it.
You think somebody could learn all the sifat and the makharij in a week?
Not become a shaykh, not become a muqri, but the sifat, yes, definitely. You could. Sifat and makharij, it's easy.
And you believe this is fard ayn upon every Muslim.
That's another question.
Yes.
Is it fard ayn? I believe the fard ayn because that's a hukm fiqhi, right?
Yes.
So if I speak from the expertise of qira'at and tajweed, then it's fard ayn. Yani it's incumbent upon every person. But from a fiqhi point of view, which is a science looking at from another angle, I believe that it is not fard ayn. I believe that getting rid of your lahnul jali is a fard ayn.
Do you believe that every imam who leads a prayer should have tartil?
It depends on how you understand aqra'ukum. For the Ahnaf, it's the one with the most knowledge. Right.
Do you think that was because we were talking about the Hanafis do have a leniency when it comes to
so I believe that the Hanafi approach there is stronger, from a fiqhi point of view.
Yeah.
So I think we should be able to distinguish between the two sciences and from which angle we approach it, right? Because from a qari point of view, my response would be different.
As a qari, as somebody who's a muqri, and your Shaykh in Qira'ah is Shaykh Tawfiq Damra, he's still alive, right?
He's still alive, yeah.
Yeah, may Allah protect him.
I mean,
one of the things that troubles me, and maybe it's like I've got this whole system now in my head of a critique of this whole, but there's this whole qari culture where somebody jumps on a mic with they've got the lights and they've got everything and they've got the setup, and then it's like recording himself reciting Quran, and there's this, it's like a song.
Yes.
But I assume you share in the discomfort that I do when I see something like that.
Yes,
right?
I do, yeah.
Like okay, for example, when does Quran become singing?
Singing. Do you mean singing or do you mean a show? Because
both.
It is when you go against the rules of tajweed, which means that you lengthen that which should not be lengthened, or that you give priority to a maqam over the rules of tajweed. So if you read with a maqam, and in the maqam you should actually prolong it or not prolong it. You should, from tajweed point of view, you shouldn't prolong it, but to reach the maqam, you have to prolong it. Then that's wrong. So I think a lot of people, they have lahan because
jali?
Of that reason.
Lahan jali?
Yes, because you prolong what you shouldn't be prolonging. And they do idkhal as well. Idkhal, which you can find in certain qira'at, but they do it in hafs as well.
What's idkhal?
It means that you put an alif, there where it shouldn't belong, just to make it longer, to make it sound longer.
Nicer.
Yeah, nicer. Yeah.
Go on.
I was going to say, so coming back to the original discussion here,
Yes.
do you think that the whole culture, the whole culture that's been created now, young men really want to just set this up and then start reciting the Quran, even if they don't know the rules of the Quran? Is that on the back of pushing the tajweed so much? Like, we need to really...
I think, Sayyidi, the hadith where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that a time will come where the Quran will be so accessible, فَيَقْرَأُهُ الرَّجُلُ وَالْمَرْأَةُ وَالْوَلَدُ, that children, men and women will read the Quran so much that a man will say, لَا أَقْرَأَنَّ فِيهِمُ الْقُرْآنَ حَتَّى أُتَّبَعَ. He says, I will read the Quran in their midst so that I will be followed. So it's one of the signs of the end of times, where people يَتَّخِذُونَ الْقُرْآنَ مَزَامِيرَ, where the people will start using the Quran as a musical instrument. And then we come, but Allah Jalla wa Ala said, in the Prophet ﷺ said, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يَتَغَنَّ بِالْقُرْآنِ. Not from me are those who do not يتغنى بالقرآن. Even there we find the difference among the scholars. يتغنى بالقرآن يستغني بالقرآن عن غيره. So that is one of the meanings. Mullah al-Qari and others who have referred to this. So
but we're going to say melody here.
Yeah, we would say a melody. A melody. And that is, and زينوا القرآن بأصواتكم. And then in another riwayah some say it's مقلوب. It is زينوا أصواتكم بالقرآن. Beautify and adorn your voices with the Quran. And those who say beautify the Quran with your voices, the Quran is already beautiful. So it means make the Quran beloved to the people by the way or through the way that you recite it. And
beautifying your recitation.
Beautifying. That's why the Prophet ﷺ also said, Allah does not listen with more attention to somebody reading the Quran وَتَظُنُّ أَنَّهُ يَخْشَى اللَّهِ, and gives you an impression that he fears Allah.
It's an act.
Yeah. So the scholars differ about this, about what it truly means. But definitely we are in a time where the youth are taking the Quran or turning it into a means that leads to fame. I remember that I asked Shaykhna, why didn't you record the Quran? Why didn't you record Quran? And he said, because if one vibration in my voice was not for his sake, then it will vibrate through the universe as a adhab until Yawm al-Qiyamah. And I've been asked quite often to record the Quran in the on the maqam of Nahawand,
Which is your favorite maqam?
which is my favorite one. But I'm very hesitant because of this reason. Because if you do one thing, like if I were to say, for example, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, which is not Nahwan, by the way. Good. If I now were to say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, was that for Allah or not? If it's not for Allah, it's my adhab. So it's very dangerous to read Quran, let alone show your face and reading. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying their intention is wrong, but it's very dangerous.
It's a slippery slope.
And not only that, a lot of the people that are there, even if they don't have Lahnul Jali, but they should go to a Shaykh and study with them. A lot of them, especially when I sit with my wife, I said, listen. I said, did you hear this? That's a mistake. This is a mistake. That is a mistake. And so why do you come out there if you're not a well-rooted scholar in Quran? What is your added value? Just a beautiful voice. But you are not preserving the qira'ah at the level of a muqri. Why are you doing it then? So I think this is very dangerous. And the one-eyed is king in the land of the blind, isn't it? And then people judge the qira'ah by the voice. But to the qari, it's noise. It's not a voice. It's noise. It's very disturbing.
And the public performance part of it, which is not a problem just in qira'at, it's in everything.
Yeah.
Where people now, speakers,
Yes.
this idea of rootedness.
Yes.
You said you have to be rooted.
Yes.
Rooted in what? You need a shaykh, you need a murshid, you need a murabbi. Because it's very easy to sort of, like you said, was it hatta uttaba? I'm doing it for the sake of becoming the leader of people.
But look at uttaba, followed, like followers today. It has never been as easy to be followed as today.
Literally.
أقرأ القرآن حتى أتبع. And then the hadith goes on, right? And then he keeps on talking, explaining the Prophet ﷺ, until the man says, لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ بِحَدِيثٍ, I will come with a story that I have never heard. لَعَلِّي أُتَّبَعَ. So he will invent stories and come with things, and that is what people do. They reinvent themselves, reinvent the deen, while the deen shouldn't be reinvented. And then what? And then they want fellowship. And that's what they gain, but that's the only thing they have.
I had a very good student of knowledge once say that nobody should put themselves on a public platform until they're 40 years old.
Yes, I agree. Even later. And I did.
Shaykh, we're 30.
No, but we are in a time where, and you're not tayammum Sidi, but we are in a time where wudu is absent. And so we don't deny that we are nothing more than tayammum. So, and when the water comes, then we will stop teaching. Yeah.
So
that's a very fickified.
But it's the famous example they use.
Yeah, of course.
Just tayammum.
إذا حضر الماء بطل التيمم, right? So that's we are just doing it until Allah comes with the water.
Do you think this idea of having a murabbi, because your own journey to the path of what you can call Ahlul Tasawwuf and stuff was very much rooted in the idea that you have to go find a murabbi?
Look, Sayyidi, I'm going to tell you the truth, right? Although I have a very Salafi past, but I'm of the opinion that if you see, and that's the opinion of Shaykh al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, of Ibn Ajiba, of Shaykh Abdul Ghani al-Nabulsi, of Shaykh al-Suyuti, of Imam Sha'rani. All of them are of the opinion that if you are not able to rectify your wrongs and get rid of your sins, it becomes obligatory for you to have murabbi. Done. They are all of this opinion, and that's my opinion. Like, if you can do it on your own, it's not a condition to get to Allah. It will take you much longer without a shaykh. Because, but if you can't, then it's even haram not to have a guide. You need a guide. You need somebody to help you.
And how do you find that guide?
بإذن الله. الحارث المحاسبي رحمه الله عز وجل, he says that I've found a people that I was looking for, and I will not tell you who they are, because if Allah wants you to find them, they will find you. And I believe that they are there, but they will be unveiled the moment that you truly want to tread the path.
there's a lot of, one of the big things, anxieties people have now is that they've had a bad experience.
Yeah, it's the experiences that they've had.
Yeah, with like this
Shuyukh
toxic fake beards and fake
Mhm.
sheikhs and
Yes.
things. And so now there's this big sort of, we need the Junaidi path, autodidact tasawwuf, do it yourself at home. How do you sort of balance between the anxieties people have about being taken advantage of
Yes.
by people with evil intent,
Mhm.
and then also the dangers of, if you try to rectify your soul
Yes.
yourself,
Yes.
then you're
You're
probably
not
going to
getting
get
anywhere, yeah.
you're
Yeah.
going to get yourself into more trouble
Yeah.
than not.
Well, I mean, if Imam al-Qushayri rahimahullah already said in his time that the people of the path have disappeared, and then you have Imam Sharani in the 10th century confirming this and saying, وَإِنَّ أَحَدَهُمْ لَيَرَى السُنَّةَ وَلَا يَقْدِرُ عَلَيْهَا لِأُمُورٍ حَصَلَتْ فِي الطَّرِيقِ يَطُولُ شَرْحُهَا. So he says, even the tulab al-ilm, they see the sunnah, they cannot bring it into practice because of things that have happened to the tariq, to treading the path towards Allah Jalla wa Ala, which I cannot explain right now. So it means that problem has always been there. And he says that the sheikhs of today, in his time, and he died in 973,
This
he
Imam
said,
Abdul Wahhab
Sharani, and he said, if this, he said that the mashaykh of today were the worst murids of yesterday. So definitely there is abuse on this path. Definitely. I mean, there is rankism, there is abuse of power, there is abuse of all these things. But then it's for you to use your mind and to use your aql, and that is to weigh the shaykh on the scales of the sharia. He needs to be an expert at fiqh before being an expert at tasawwuf. So, and he needs to have the Ash'ari or Maturidi, aqidah. If he doesn't, you cannot follow him. And then you need a shaykh that doesn't invite towards himself. You need a shaykh that invites towards Allah and doesn't pretend to be even that, almost a copy of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. So
he needs to be a copy.
No, I mean, who pretends to be, I am that grand sheikh, sit at my feet, sing for me. I mean, if a sheikh talks like that, for me, that's not a sheikh. I think a sheikh...
See, when the Messenger of God sallallahu
No,
alaihi
he
wasallam
wouldn't. Exactly.
Have done. He
So
sat
a
amongst
sheikh
them as if-
should be submitted to the sharia like we are. So if a sheikh allows people kiss my hands, do this and that for me, how dangerous is that? You as a sheikh, you should humble yourself, right? And not meaning that you don't have a line that you don't cross. But if you see that your murids are almost adoring you, as it were, then that's wrong. Worshipping you, that's wrong. So weigh your sheikh on the scales of the sharia, of fiqh and aqidah, and his deeds. If he does not represent in his deeds what he is inviting towards to, don't follow him. He's a shaitan. Which is not the same with the faqih. A faqih huwa mubayyin anillahi tabarak wa ta'ala. He's the one that clarifies the hukm, but is not in a position where he puts himself to be followed. A faqih doesn't say, follow me. But a spiritual guide does. So if a spiritual guide doesn't practice what he preaches, then it's no more than a devil in a human form, figuratively speaking.
And then what about doing tasawwuf yourself then? So a lot of people are saying, okay, forget the sheikh, I'll read, they call it the Junaidi path, I'll read...
that doesn't work, and the proof is in the pudding. I mean, a lot of people that have tried it failed. Imam al-Nawawi is one of these exceptions, who didn't have a Sufi sheikh. But when you look at him, he was a very Sufi man. And that's why he also spoke about tasawwuf. People like Nawawi.
Was he an Ash'ari?
Well, excuse me?
Was he an Ash'ari?
He was, of course he was, yeah.
Are you sure?
Well, when I read his Sharh on Sahih Muslim, it looks like it.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes,
I heard he was Wahhabi.
No, I heard he was a Muqtadi'.
Shaykh Abdul Wahhab, yeah?
Yeah.
He was a Wahhabi before that.
Yeah. No, but I don't believe it works today. And it's a we have three ulama. We have the ulama of Islam, they are the fuqaha. We have the ulama of Iman, they are the Ahlul Kalam, meaning Aqidah and so forth. And ulama al-Ihsan, they are the ulama of Tasawwuf.
Sometimes one man is all three.
Sometimes one man can be all three, but not very often.
Imam al-Ghazali.
Yes, of course. He's an exception, isn't it?
No, of course he is.
So meaning that you have to, exactly like you follow somebody in fiqh and in kalam, you also follow somebody in tasawwuf.
Are we allowed to talk about a lot of people have the story of the man in there's riwayat
mukhtalif.
riwayat mukhtalif.
No, he's
off camera.
I don't know.
I mean, we've
مدلس.
It's not مدلس.
No.
It's مخالفة الثقة لمن هو أوثق منه.
من هو أوثق منه؟ أنا.
أنا.
Because you were there.
قصتي. It's my story.
I guess, Sheikh, we've got to where you've
You're in Jordan
gone
now.
through, the experiences in Saudi Arabia
Yes,
and met
yes.
great shuyukh and
Yes.
sat in
May Allah bless
their
them.
presence. And
Mhm.
so now you are in Jordan. Obviously, you've gone back and
Mhm.
forth,
Mhm.
and now you've been taken
Mhm.
into
Mhm.
the towards the people of
Yes.
the Tasawwuf. But how did that come about?
How did that happen?
Yeah, how did that happen?
Yani, very briefly, because I saw that many of the Salafiyah were stealing from other scholars.
Yeah.
Plagiarism, a lot. So I would always verify whenever they would say قال Abdullah ibn Abbas, and then they would come with these beautiful things and lata'if. I would go through the books and I said, but people whom you are warning against are the ones who said this. You're just not, yani,
Yeah.
and
But that was because you went back and
yes,
read.
yes.
And many of them don't read.
Who
they
were they
just
quoting? Who was it?
All of it, like Ibn al-Jawzi, they would warn us against him. Imam al-Razi,
Salafis warning against Ibn al-Jawzi?
yeah, up to a certain level. His aqidah is deviant, right?
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
according to them. And Al-Ghazali, Sayyid Qutb as well. Sayyid Qutb in their durus, full force. And then they warn you against it. And then you see it's literally from these mashaykh.
Quoting في ظلال
Yes,
القرآن.
quoting like word for word. And without nisbah. So I didn't like that. So then I said, okay, let me read some books. And the first book I read, and I was so afraid to read that book, was Al-Fan fil Islam by Dr. Al-Qardawi, rahmatullahi alayhi. So I took it and I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I said, no, this will take me to hell. No, it will not take you to hell. So I was really, literally, that is what I was thinking. And I had a friend, Muhammad Andiz, and he had a library, a maktaba. So I said, why are you so afraid of? And he was an Ash'ari. And we decided to never speak about Aqidah. Because he was really a friend. I said, don't try. Don't take me to hell. So anyway, so I read the book and I said, wow, Al-Qardawi mentions the Prophet. I said, he mentions the madhahib. I said, wow. So I was so, intrigued. And then Muhammad Andiz, he told me, why don't you read Idah al-Dalil by Badruddin ibn Jama'ah? I said, he's the one that put Ibn Taymiyyah in prison.
Yep.
And it's right there, the green book.
Yeah, we can show it
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. And we didn't do that on purpose, by the way.
No, I just knew that it was there, and then I'm going to take it home afterwards, inshallah.
Yeah, with my permission. Okay.
This is the
Take my
library
books.
of the Shaykh back here.
Yeah.
So
And then I read Idah al-Dalil like in one majlis. I read from the beginning to the end with a muqaddimah. And I was convinced. Like everything I had memorized. And that is where I join you. Memorization is not important. So I memorized all of it. And this book destroyed. It felt like a house of cards. Like nothing. Subhanallah. And then I was convinced. I said, I'm an Ash'ari now. Just this book. Because it is a quite Salafi approach. Strangely enough. So I believe this book should be translated.
Like he was manqul. He was narrating narrations.
Yes. It's very, this book should be translated by somebody who has, like if Maulana Shams could do this, that would be amazing with his footnotes and explanation would be nice.
This has already got good with Wahbi.
Yes, but he could add to it.
Yes,
yeah, he's amazing. Shaykh Shams is amazing. Hafidahullah.
Ameen.
So then, okay, we got there. So I was a Ash'ari in Aqidah now. Now I had a friend because I was an Ash'ari. I was making new friends. Then I came to Al-Mufti, one of the Muftis of Jordan, Mufti Talib Abu Snina, a doctor in Aqidah.
He sounds Palestinian.
He's yes. And so subhanAllah, one of the most beautiful souls I've ever seen. Anyway, so I told him, and then he said, yeah, of course. I mean, everybody knows that the majority of the people were Ash'ari. I said, okay, I didn't know that. And then he took me to Dr. Salah al-Hajj for fiqh. I said, because now I need a madhab. Because I thought I was following a madhab, but I was just following Salafism. So I sat with Shaykh Dr. Salah al-Hajj, and as I always say, the first class was terrible. It was horrifying. It was terrible. It was a horror story. It was a thriller. It was everything that you can imagine yourself. Like almost no qala Allah, qala Rasul, and the man kept on talking for hours. And I said, what kind of fiqh is this? And they said, yeah, Allahu Akbar, Kabir Allah, this and that. I said, what? And he said, I literally said this, Shaykh, كاد قولك أن يكون كفرا. I said, what you said could be kufr. He said, جديد عهد بسلفية أنت? So, and I said, نعم, قال اصبر معنا. So صبرنا. So we went over 3 books with him and then much more. So anyway, So that was my other step.
I listened to Dr. Salah Abul Hajj. I was
Yeah.
listening to some of his Quduri lessons, and now he quotes loads of hadith in his lessons.
Really?
So you must
Maybe
have done
it's
something.
After Sheikh Sulayman's
He defends the
experience.
madhab now against everybody. Just scared
Subhanallah,
that
subhanallah.
Sheikh Sulayman's going to walk in.
Subhanallah. Yeah, Shaykh Abul Hajj. Yeah,
He was here. We hosted him, and you were
Yeah, I
present,
saw him,
and it was
yeah,
an
I saw-
incredible honor for us to do that.
It's
alhamdulillah.
amazing. It's amazing. So that was still easy. Then as I was teaching at his markaz, I was teaching qira'at. I remember it was Warsh and Qalun. I was teaching there. Then I went through a phase where the phase where the Salafis were angry with me because I've had left them and I knew a bit too much about plagiarism and everything that had to do with it. So I went through many tests, and then I was in need of an answer. And then I saw somebody. I saw Sheikh Suhail as well, and I really felt pity for him because that was my beginning. He was doing the wudu of the Ahnaf, like this, and I said bid'ah, and in myself, and I felt pity for him, right? But subhanallah, astaghfirullah. Anyway, and then I saw another person. I said, I would like you to give me spiritual advice. He said,
Can we say who it is, or is it? It's just a brother.
a brother,
Okay.
Azizul Haq.
Okay. Oh, he's not known.
What?
He's not known to us. Like I thought. Like
No,
we
no.
should say
Even if he would be, but it would be okay. So, and I said spiritual advice, and he said, I don't do spiritual advice. I said, but you look like a very spiritual person. He says, well, I have a sheikh you can go to, and I said, like, okay, what's his name? He shared the name with me, and I said, oh, that's a kafir. I said, the sheikh is a kafir. So the student, didn't become angry, and he said, but he can really give you advice. So
Are we allowed to say the name of the sheikh?
maybe later on, yeah.
Maybe later.
So not yet, because that will maybe stop people.
We'll do spoiler alert. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
need
Spoiler
to
alert.
unveil it. Big
Yeah,
moment at
we
the
will
end.
have unveil. And then the problem is I still felt like I needed the advice. So I was so desperate. I said, take me to your sheikh. So we
Take me
arrived.
to your leader.
Yes, take me to your sect. And so I arrived at, and it was a zawiyah. And it said, Zawiyat Abil Hasan al-Shadili. In my mind, Sayyidi, Sufi sheikhs didn't pray. In my mind, Sufi sheikhs, they, if you would get married, the first night, that is what we were being taught, the first night would be for the sheikh with your wife. That is what we were taught, literally. So the sheikh wouldn't pray, the sheikh wouldn't fast. There were different rules for the sheikh, and they would do sihr to get you into their sect so that you would give them a lot of money. That's all I knew of tasawwuf. Can you imagine? That's all I knew, Sidi. So what happened then is I told the brother, you can already go up to the zawiyah. I will follow you. And I started doing so much dhikr. And I was reading Ayatul Kursi as I was going up.
Protection.
Protection. And then I came into the zawiyah, and then a man came in. And I saw that people respected him. I said, that was a man I saw praying in the first row. And it was the sheikh, but sheikhs don't pray. Now, he had a turban, he's a beard, and his garments above his ankles. I said, that doesn't look right. So, and then they sat down and they read Hizb al-Bahr. SubhanAllah, everything in the Hizb had a meaning to me. Like, it was an answer to all my problems. Like literally, I felt so strong when reading it, and then I started reading it. And then I went to the sheikh, and I said, Sheikh, I think I would like to give my pledge to you that I will follow your teachings. And he said no. And that for me was strange, because he should want me for my money, right? But then I already said, no, you first have to read about tasawwuf, and then if you feel sure, then you come back to me. So I read حقائق عن التصوف لعبد القادر Isa. It has been translated into the English language, which is Realities on Tasawwuf. And then I slept after having read the book, and he comes into my dream.
The sheikh.
Yeah, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Isa. And he teaches me about patience and hikmah, about sabr and hikmah, patience and wisdom. But I still had a bit of that Salafi mindset, right? I said, you can't be my dream. You're dead. Literally. I said,
You said that to him in the dream.
Yeah, in the dream. Yes. I said, you can't be. But the dream felt real. I said, you can't be my dream. You're dead. And he smiled. And he said, Nahnu awliya'ullah.
Allah.
We are the awliya of Allah, and we have been allowed by Allah to visit people who are looking for us in their dreams. And I was like, Okay.
That's shirk. Just made another one like that. That has to be shirk.
No, well, actually, I didn't say this. I felt like, okay, that makes sense. And then I woke up and I went to sleep again. And when I fell asleep, but it was a very beautiful dream where I was being taught hikmah and sabr. And then it was written in front of me, you have been invited to join the Sufiya. It was written in front of me. And now this is the end of your dream. And then, there was that final dot after the sentence. Stop. How do you call that? Stop. Full stop.
Yeah.
This is the end of your dream. And the moment that the full stop was on paper, subhanAllah, the adhan went. Like, now is the end of your dream. Allahu Akbar, Allah. I woke up. I said, subhanAllah, may wudu, prayed and so forth, came back. And I went to sleep again, which I usually don't do.
After Fajr.
And that's really a waste of time. But anyway, so I slept. And then Sahaba Hassan al-Shadri came in my dream. He came to me and he said, look, you will have a lot of tests that you will be going through. So whenever you have a test, then say the following. يا رجاء كل حي يا من بيده ملكوت كل شيء انصرني واحفظني وارزقني. And I woke up. So I went back to the Shaykh and he says, you have been invited. So, and then I came into the house of the Shaykh.
Have you told anyone this before?
It's not out there, no. And then
The story we had was slightly different.
that's why
We thought you went to refute the Shaykh
والفرد
originally.
والفرد ما به راو غدا تعديله لا يحمل التفردا. Yeah. Good. But this is not in your case because this is مخالفة الثقة لمن هو أوثق منه.
Subhanallah.
So anyway, then I went to the Shaykh, and the Shaykh is an expert in the Abu al-Hasan, in the Shadiliya tariqa, and he said this dua is not in any of the books. He said, but the ruh of Imam Shadili is present within it. He said, you've seen him, he visited you. He said, so the time has come. That was in May 2008, 9 May 2008. And that's there then where I gave my pledge. And the pledge is not like the people think, a sectarian thing. It is Abdul Qadir Jailani who started it because people kept on coming back. Like people come to you, Sayyidi, they ask you a question, then 5 months later they ask you the same question. You said, did you do what I asked you? They say no. So, and it is to make sure that the people who come don't waste your time. It is like
to systematize the path.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
To organize things.
To organize things. So that is what I did, and that was, I think, the most spiritual moment in my life. The 4 months after that, I really felt that breeze, that wind that was pushing me in the back to go forward. So yeah, that was my beginning in tasawwuf. But like the Shaykh said, people who have studied a lot, they go very slow because every time they will contradict what the Shaykh says in their mind. Like, oh yeah, but isn't there this dalil? Isn't there that dalil? And I was literally doing that. That was my downfall.
He was very patient with you.
Yeah, very patient. Yeah.
All the mashayikh.
Yeah, the mashayikh are patient.
Did you ever have a back and forth with Shaykh Said Fawda?
I just attend with Shaykh Said Fawda. You don't want to go back and forth. The man is too mantiqi for me. Like I was with him in 2008, 2009. We would sit with him in his house. We did. He explained Qatr Nada for some Yemenis that came to visit him. I sat with him with the explanation of Qatr Nada, and then he would teach us mantiq and aqidah and usul of Razi and so forth. So it was very beneficial. I would attend the closed private classes where only the scholars would come. I would then attend as somebody with knowledge of the qira'at, and then we would just sit together. I never spoke really. I just attended.
But with Dr. Salah Abul Had, there was a lot more back and forth.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And can we mention, I'm one of the great scholars, I think, who never gets appreciated in the West now, Shaykh Ali Hani al-Aqrabawi.
Shaykh Ali Hani al-Aqrabawi is one of the most amazing people I've ever seen. In Jordan, I visited him in his house. We sat together. We had tea together. I listened to him. I sat with him, Shaykh Suhail, even more so. He would literally walk like this. He had always had a book with him, like this. He would literally walk. He would walk like that, and then if you would say salam, he would go like wa alaikum salam, and he'd go back. He would be so afraid that people would use his time. That is what it was about, right? And then he would have a pen here. He had a white dish dash, like we say, and it was like red, blue, yellow of all the
Colors, yeah.
and of aqlam that he would put there, and he would literally. And one day I passed him when he was sitting in his car. It was after Dhuhr. It was after Dhuhr, and he was sat there, and he had like on the dashboard filled with books, next to him filled with books, back seat filled with books, the trunk filled with books.
So he was definitely reading while driving.
No. He was parked. He was parked in it, and he was sweating, and the window was closed, and I said, and he went like this. Naam, Sheikh Sulayman. I said, Sheikh, he said, why do you come to my maktaba? I said, and you just study there. He said, no. He said, here nobody will bother me,
Apart from
and
you.
this is a time where the house is very busy, so I will just stay here. Sheikh Ali Ali, if he were to, and he will, write a tafsir, which I have seen parts of. So he shares some of the documents that are not out there yet with me. Like he has one ayah sometimes in 240 pages.
Wow.
Yeah.
Will it ever get printed?
It will.
Just to let the viewers know, when we're talking about Shaykh Ali Hani al-Aqrabawi, this is the great Mufassir,
Yes.
Lughawi, incredible scholar, teacher of Shaykh Sulayman,
Yes.
Shaykh Suhail Hanif, a master of the Quran, master of
More than a
tafsir,
master, Sidi. More than a master. More than a master. He's one of these people that when you see them, you think they're quite simple, not simple-minded. You will think they're quite simple, not simple-minded, because they're down to earth. But I think he's the biggest master, without exaggerating, in the Arabic language that is alive today. I truly mean this. After sitting with him, after speaking to him publicly and privately, I've never seen his likes in Lugha, ever. And not in Tafsir, ever. But people forget that he also has a lot of knowledge in fiqh and in al-mirath and everything that has to do with it. So he's one of the most amazing people.
And he has durus online. If
Yes,
people
yes.
want to go and
On
view.
YouTube, he taught more than you can ever attend.
Subhanallah. And
Yes.
okay, so Sheikh Ali Hani, Sheikh, and Sheikh Suhail becomes your friend at this moment. as well.
Yes.
And that's a friendship that's
That's there.
Continuous.
Yeah, until now,
after me, he's your best friend.
together. So I met him in 2007, and we never disagreed. And very often when we disagree,
Respectfully, like you never
no,
disagreed.
no. When we speak and we disagree, to start with, he then takes my opinion and I take his. And then we say we don't know anymore, you know. So this is, I mean, when I sit with him, and then my family usually is there because she finds it very interesting to see what we talk about. We can literally talk just about harf inna for hours, you know, and then just about things that people would say like, what are they even talking about? But it's so enjoyable. I've Sheikh Suhail is an untarnished, unblemished soul. That's really how I see it. He's so beautiful. And when we were there, we would rhyme. We would do battles in Arabic, and then we would start with a verse, and then we had to connect the rhyme to the verse. I remember we did Surah Al-Duha, Surah Al-Zilzala, Surah Al-Qari'ah, and then we would keep on going back and forth. And if you use the same word twice, you're done.
Who would win?
Ask Sheikh Suhail.
That means you.
That means Sheikh Sulayman.
No, I wouldn't win. No, Sheikh Suhail wins all the time. No.
And he's like, people don't know. I mean, obviously he's at the National Zakat Foundation. He's mufakkir.
Naam.
He's faqih. He's
Yes.
usuli. He's
Yes.
language. I heard he's in Arabic. Sheikh Ali Hani apparently says, if you want my students in the West, then go to
Yeah.
Suhail Hanif.
Yeah,
He's
definitely,
one
yes,
of my
yes.
senior students.
It's
Somebody was
amazing.
telling
It's
me.
amazing. It's amazing.
MashaAllah. No, absolutely incredible.
So then I sat with Sheikh Suhail. I would read fiqh to him, and he would read the Quran with me for ijaza. And that is how we would do tabadul. You know, so he...
Trade.
Yes,
But
that's
halal
how we
trade.
would trade, yeah.
Though you shouldn't trade the religion and all of that.
Well, yeah, so that's it, yeah.
The Shaykh. I
I
don't know.
feel that's one of the most amazing things that I found in Sheikh Suhail as well. That we used to have the online sessions for some period. We went online,
Yes,
and Sheikh Suhail would be tuning in,
yes, yes.
right? And he'd be there. You know, we were doing warsh. He'd be,
Yes.
yeah, you know,
Yes.
let me know exactly where we are, and he was there, quite committed,
Yes.
despite his other
busy
commitments
life.
and
What I was thinking is, how important is it to have friends in ilm? Because I don't, people, you know what it is? I was thinking about this the other day, and I was just, I was deeping it quite. It was hard. I was just thinking, imagine a life without ilm. Imagine that was gone, and you just became. There's nothing wrong with being an engineer or a bus driver. These are all noble professions. Accountant. This is the most boring thing ever. Nobody, don't do accountancy. But anyways, but I was thinking, what about if I had a life and I wasn't, my parents never sent me to madrasa, I wasn't open up to this world of ilm.
No.
How depressing.
Yeah, definitely.
Just because, but maybe it's because we've tasted it.
No.
And then your friends in ilm, like when we sit together and you are, I'm just going to say this for the camera, Shaykh Sulayman is an alim, Jalil. He's a real alim, and I don't say this like we sit together and then we have back and forth. Shaykh is much more senior than both of us, I would say, and has incredible depth in many of the ulum that he studied, every single one. But when we sit together, the discussion's not about, football, or it's this, or it's that. And I wouldn't give that up for the world.
Subhanallah.
Because it's one of the most beautiful things, Majlisul Ilm, Mudhakara. And you remind me so much, and you teach me so much every time we sit together. And then how important, I was just thinking, like, having the friends of knowledge that you have is such a beautiful thing.
True.
And I don't know if you want to touch on that. Like, how important is it to have people around you?
In this world, you either send or you receive, and you choose what to receive. And you receive the information that these kind of friends will pass on to you. So if you have Shaykh Suhail as a friend, what is passed on to you is knowledge, right?
And he's really funny as well.
And he's really funny. He's really funny. Like you, I think you're a very funny man. Like, very funny.
That's on camera now.
Yeah, I have an ijaza in doing stand-up.
Or sit down.
So, but some people don't understand, like, when you come, and I'm not talking about myself now, when you sit with scholars, you don't want to lose their time. So one of the things that you definitely don't want to do is to waste a scholar's time. And and not talking about myself, I just mean scholars in general, right? And if you have you're either a receiver or a sender. And so if you choose your friends, you actually also choose what you want to receive in your life. Which information do you want to be passed on? So if you have Shaykh Suhail as a friend, then you're sure you will. I never heard him gossip. Never heard him talk about people. He was never vulgar. He was never arrogant. He was never. So I mean, وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيْهِ. Follow the path of those who have submitted themselves to me. اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. Fear Allah and be among the صادقين. So this is why the Shaykh said, إنك لحريص على مودتنا ولكنك لا تخف على الفؤاد.
Subhanallah. It's like I'm hearing it for the first time.
Subhanallah, really.
This is like, I'm just going to say for the view, like a third take.
Yes, it is. So we're good now?
Yeah.
Khalas, translated.
You are so eager to become our friend, but then you are not light upon our heart.
Yes, subhanallah, exactly. Naam. Subhanallah. Like Imam Shafi'i said, صديق ليس ينفع يوم بأس قريب من عدو في القياس وما يبغى صديق في كل عصر ولا الإخوان إلا للتآسي غبرت الدنيا ملتمسا بجهدي أخا ثقة فأكداني التماسي. نعم.
No, yeah, it's very good, mashallah.
I thought you were going to translate it.
Join my Arabic course.
And that'll be the homework.
Lesson
So
1.
you'll find the translation in the description, right? Inshallah.
Yes.
No, that last one I did on purpose. So
Now we speak in Urdu for about 5 minutes.
Tika.
Tika.
Yeah. Yes.
So I was going to say, the other thing that we touched upon before this question was just studying and continuing to study or remaining a student of knowledge.
No.
So for you, I know you teach a lot, but then you spend a lot of time studying as well.
Yes.
How do you balance that, and how do you
No, let me add something onto that question. You also have a family.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I found, because I read, I think it's in the Adabul, Imam al-Ghazali in the Kitab al-Ilm, I'm not sure, there's a section I remember Imam al-Ghazali saying that if you really want to study, you have to leave your family. Right, and because they will be an impediment to your pursuit of knowledge. And there's that famous line that, what is it? ذُبِحَ الْعِلْمُ عَلَى أَفْخَاذِ النِّسَاءِ. That knowledge has been sacrificed upon the desire for women. Let's just translate it like that. And so you have to balance, you have family, you have teaching commitments, you have all of this.
Mhm.
How do you make sure throughout your life, beyond your teens and your early 20s,
Naam.
that you're constantly in the world of ilm?
Okay, that's a very good question. But why did you memorize what you memorized?
Because it really stood
Because
out
is
to
it really asl? You said that, yeah, but it doesn't really matter. It's not really the usul of knowledge. Why would you know fi surat al-ahzab wa surat la? Why did you memorize something?
it's
It's not even knowledge.
Because it's important to me.
It's important to you. Khalas.
It affected me when I read it. I
No.
cried so much.
Da'ubuka wa
And he
darbuka.
And he uses it every time his wife says, should we go here? Let me put that line out for you.
Have you read Al-Ulama Al-Uzzab?
Subhanallah. I think, Sayyidi, my days start quite early. So I use my free time. I sacrifice my own time. So I start in the very, very early morning. And that's where it happens for
Do
me.
you mind just giving us a sort of your
A day in the life,
Yeah.
Subhanallah.
I have heard it and
I don't think it's that interesting. But
What time do you
it,
wake
it
up?
is quite interesting what you said, Shaykh. I mean, we've had this conversation
No.
where you said that one of the things that stuck with me, where you mentioned was don't spend time with your family, but if you're gonna do something for yourself, don't take their time
No,
to do something
exactly.
for yourself.
Yeah.
Take it out of your own time.
Exactly. Yes. So in pursuit of knowledge, you have to cut away from your sleeping time. That's the only way it works. And I know that people say 8 hours sleep, but my Lord says, كانوا قليلا من الليل ما يهجعون. So I mean, he's the master of the doctors, isn't he? And if the doctors would have kept to their own rules, they would have never become a doctor. Now, if you sleep 8 hours per night, you don't become a doctor, right? So
That's good, actually. I want to use that.
I try to start around 3:30 in the morning, and then I have I structure it until 7:30 in the morning. Between memorizing and I still memorize every day, which is not important, I know. I still memorize every day. I memorize poems every week. I try to memorize hadith every morning, and then I write. I have my personal ibadah, which is very, very short in comparison to my studying, because I believe that for me that's the most important.
That is your ibadah.
That's my ibadah for me. And then 7:30, everybody wakes up, and then just family life. And then during the day, as I don't go to work every day, I can use my day to study and to write as well. And then at night, back with the family. Then when they sleep, back to the books.
Do you take a nap during the day?
No, I don't.
Never.
I can't. I try, but I can't. It doesn't work. My mind doesn't stop. It doesn't switch off. So I try. If it happens, it's like once every 2 years or something.
So all day is just reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reading and writing.
Reading and teaching as well, because you teach.
Reading, writing, teaching, and researching. Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I don't know. It's not difficult, Sidi. I'm sorry.
But this
to
is
say
like a
this,
himma you've carried from when you were 18.
Yes.
For me, that's like your habits are so ingrained.
I mean,
I'm
it
way
takes a
too-
long time to get out of your...
No. But what's incredible about the Shaykh is that from day dot he's been like that.
Mhm.
You know, it's not like he broke the habit or
Mhm.
things. From the moment you accepted Islam,
Mhm.
that was your.
But it's a passion, Sidi. When you have a passion, you nobody needs to tell you to wake up. Nobody needs to remind you of what you're doing. You don't need encouragement, because you know why you're doing it. And I believe every scholar that you see, wallahi, never studied with the intention to become a scholar. Even today, I don't study to become a scholar. I don't have that. I'm still that Muslim looking for that one sentence that will change my heart, get rid of myself, and just be introduced to Allah. And that's the reason why I keep on studying. Even the usul, the language and everything, they're all but means to dive into the Quran and Sunnah to find that one thing. So I've never, and none of my scholars, by the way, have ever studied saying, I want to study to teach. You study because you want to understand religion.
Yeah.
And that's the last stage of knowledge. It's the state of panic, where you know that there is so much out there that could save you, change you, and introduce you to the Almighty, that you literally can't sleep anymore. because there's too much to learn. And that's why Imam Sha'rani said, rahimahullah azza wa jal, in Tanbih al-Mukhtarin, he said, like, the only one who's sure of not being a scholar is a scholar. Because every page that he turns is telling him, you didn't know me. You didn't see that one coming. And that's the stage of panic, the state of panic which the scholars are in, and they never think they're a scholar. No scholar ever says, I am a scholar. Because they don't, and they truly, it's not like a game they play. Oh, I'm not a scholar. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. It's truly because they compare themselves to these giants in knowledge. And then you stay rooted. But if you compare yourself to Ahli Zamanik, or Ahl Zamanika, to the people of your time, then of course you're going to think you're a scholar.
Qutub.
Yeah, Qutb, yeah. So that's what keeps me going. It's just, it's very difficult to be spiritual, but it's very easy to serve the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And that's to, if you study at night, to serve his ummah. That's the best thing you can do. Like I told myself, and sorry, I keep on going, but that's the last thing I want to say about this, is even in the book, inshallah, that soon will be published, that I've been working on for 20 years, that has to do with the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I told myself, even if I go to hell, which I probably will, then just knowing that my book may, draw a smile on the face of the Prophet ﷺ would suffice as a reward. Wallahi it would. And I don't want to go to hell, but knowing that I would go to hell and that this book reintroduced the Sunnah among his people, knowing that it draws a smile on his face and that he was happy just for that little tiny microsecond, it's worth it. It's worth it.
You spoke, and I think we'll bring it to a close with this final question about serving the ummah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As I'd call ourselves students of knowledge at the very least, at the very most, really. One of the struggles where I'm having personally a lot at the moment is with Palestine, with Gaza. We're seeing a lot of the struggle, the oppression, the blatant oppression that's being carried out by the genocidal entity against the Palestinians.
Definitely.
And you think a lot now. I think there's a massive revisiting of what's my role in the service of the Ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do I serve them? Do I need to? Is there something about making hijrah now to the Muslim lands? Things are becoming tight, more difficult. There's a video of yours that's gone viral recently. I think really? The one about the Gaza and the signs of the end of times.
I didn't know. Okay.
And you mentioned that this is, you finally feel now that we are now in the end times.
Yes.
And that's a time where the Prophet ﷺ encourages us to flee, to go, to sort of seclude yourselves, don't be with the masses, etc., etc. And I feel like with us, myself, there's a contestation happening. What is my role here? Why am I still here? Why haven't I gone to a place where I can hide myself away and protect my flock, my family? Because you spoke about the scholar, what can he do for himself? He's seeking knowledge for the sake of knowledge, and he becomes this great scholar. But there's a duty to the ummah as well. There's beyond the family. There's a duty. And I was just wondering, like that inner contestation that I think a lot of people are going through, maybe not even tulab al-ilm and things. What is your guidance for it? What is your guidance now in this
Could
moment?
you paraphrase that and just in one sentence what your question exactly is? Because there's a lot I can say about this. So how would you?
What is the best way for a talib al-ilm to serve the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this moment?
Okay. I believe, Sayyidi, wallahu alam, that the captain of a ship doesn't leave the ship when it's drowning. The ulama today and the tulab al-ilm, you call yourself talib al-ilm. I believe that you are of the junior scholars, definitely, together with the Shaykh. Definitely. And you're captains of a ship, and the captain of a ship doesn't jump or leave the ship, abandon the ship while it's drowning. And I believe that Europe is a ship that's drowning. People are losing their faith as we speak. They are in need of guidance. They don't know how to pray. They don't know how to fast. They don't know the names of Allah Jalla wa Ala. They don't know how to purify themselves. If you do not fulfill that role, then who will? So this is why it is incumbent and obligatory upon us. And it is to stay here. Doing hijrah for tulab al-ilm today doesn't make sense. You would leave your people and you would be returned back just like Yunus. Alayhi salam. And I believe there's a lot of work to do. And of course, Palestine hurts our hearts. But we as individuals, sadly enough, we cannot really change something immediately. Long term, we can. Long term. And that's exactly what Imam al-Ghazali understood. When the Mongols and so forth, they were attacking, he didn't really write about it, but he wrote Ihya Ulumuddin. Because the only way for the Ummah to stand and rise again is by returning to the Lord. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. And I don't mean the people of Gaza, because they are whom they are supposed to be. The pride of the Ummah, the beauty of the Ummah, the stronghold of the Ummah, they are doing what they should be doing. So, but I'm talking about us, and we are one body. So if we are not doing well, that may have an impact on the people in Gaza. That maybe something is delayed for them because of something we are delaying. So as we are one body, we need to take care of ourselves here so that the entire Ummah would prosper. And that's very often what we forget. So how are we going to save the people against the doubts that science has brought today? And all the scales are corrupted now. The ethical and moral standards are far to be found. So I think that's our duty as a Talib al-Ilm.
The ribat, as you said.
The ribat, definitely.
Sheikh Sahel talks about a lot as well.
Definitely ribat. For me, it's a strive, it's a struggle, it's a fight, figuratively speaking. You need to be here. It's not easy. Do you think it would not be easier just to leave and think about none but yourself?
Move to Dubai or somebody.
Maybe not Dubai. I wouldn't like Dubai. It's too artificial. And with the way that they have supported the genocide, I wouldn't even like to live there in a country that allows the ship, or rather, anyway, you know what I mean. So no, I wouldn't like Dubai. And this just closed the door to Dubai for me. Never rich again. Or again, never rich. So yeah, that's what I believe. Yeah.
So we have to stay to fight the good fight.
Unless you can really bring a change in the country you're going to. But if it's just to live there and do nothing, then no.
For the Talib al-Ilm.
Yeah, for the Talib al-Ilm. Yeah.
But the common man could go.
The common man, the problem is, Sayyidi, I really believe that living your Islam here is very often easier than living your Islam elsewhere. So I know we struggle with the LGBTQ narrative and so forth, but you can still teach your children in the way that you see fitted, right? So you're not obliged to send them to a school where you disagree with. That's not by law. You don't have to. There are other means to teach them.
Grass looks greener on the other side.
Yes.
I mean, you've lived in Muslim countries and you've lived.
Yes, it was beautiful, but I'm happy I'm here.
And there's work to do. Thank you so much, Shaykh Sulayman, for giving us your time today.
Well, it's completely different than we thought, right?
Yes.
SubhanAllah.
And Jazakallah khair, Mawlana.
Yes, Jazakallah khair, Mawlana.
Thank you very much.
And if people want to see more of Shaykh Sulayman Vanel, then the Karima Foundation YouTube channel is a good place to start.
Yes.
He teaches every Sunday morning you're teaching the questions of the companions. There's a course you're doing at the moment that people can sign up to and attend. There's also on the 2nd of March, it hasn't been released yet, but there's going to be a Road to Ramadan event with Shaykh Salman Yunus and yourself. There's so many things. Follow the Shaykh on his socials, become one of his followers, even though he told us not to, but and check out his work, inshallah. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, this will not be the last time that you'll be sat, like you said, to be interrogated by us.
Yes.
Good cop, bad cop.
SubhanAllah. So my takeaway is, don't memorize knowledge. Yeah.
That was not what we said. That wasn't what we said.
I know. See, don't defend yourself. Everybody saw it. I know that's not what you meant.
Like, share, subscribe, and and all of that other stuff, inshallah ta'ala. And Shaykh, you have your own YouTube channel that people can follow?
Yes.
And
Shaykh,
website.
SVA or
no, Shaykh Sulayman.
Sheikh Sulayman. Just Google the Shaykh, and then just follow all. Yeah, and we'll put all of the details in the description. Mulna Thumma doesn't have a website yet that you can follow, and neither do I. Not yet.
لعلي أتبع.
But and inshallah ta'ala we'll have loads of incredible, beneficial, inshallah ta'ala, content for everybody. And inshallah we look forward to seeing you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.